Yeah, Nightmare Weekend, Chicago. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. We got Michael Stahl-David in the house, and we're going to have some, woo, yeah. This is awesome.
What's up? How are you?
Hello, everyone. How you doing? This guy's having a great time. All right.
We can just talk, man. We're just here now. You're going to get to be a big part of this. If you'd
For
like
sure.
To be.
Well, dude, it's super nice to meet you. We got to talk momentarily backstage and get to learn a little bit about you. In my research of you, of course, I found out that you're a graffiti artist. I definitely want to talk about that. But first and foremost, back home in Chicago, your first convention ever, and we kind of briefly touched on it backstage, but like how full circle of a moment is this for you to be here in your hometown?
All right, well, the coolest thing that happened was this gal came up, and she was like, I have something for you to sign. I hope you get a kick out of it. I'm like, oh, what's it going to be? She pulls out a DVD of a movie called Newport South that was made in 2000. It was my first film. It was a flop. Michael Shannon is in it.
Oh, wow.
Some other actors who went on to do cool stuff. And I had like 2 lines in it. But I was on set for 3 weeks. I got my SAG card. And she was an extra in the movie and took a picture of me on set, like one of her last days. And there I am looking like I had definitely been out doing graffiti the night before because I looked like sleepy as hell. I feel bad I can't show it to you, but it's just, me at 16 had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. So that was really funny, and cool. So that was nice to meet her.
It would be funnier if somebody came up with your yearbook. Like,
yeah.
the KIT, keep in touch.
Yeah, exactly. Never change.
Never change.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
So, we were talking about briefly, but you were a graffiti artist. When did you start doing graffiti? And did you start immediately, did you have a graffiti crew? Did you guys run around tagging and bombing things around the city? I would love to hear about your graffiti journey. How did it begin?
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I grew up in the city of Chicago, and, the cool kid, like the coolest kid in junior high, his older brother was a graffiti writer. And maybe that's where I got the idea. But I grew up by Belmont and Clark, which is an area with a lot of subculture. And so I would see murals and see stuff around. And I don't know. I mean, I had terrible luck with it. Like the first time I ever did a tag, I got arrested.
Wow.
Yeah, like.
How old were you?
I was 13. I had rollerblades on. I was like downtown Chicago. I tagged on like a little railing, and these narcs pulled up on me. I threw the marker into the river, and he was like, "Nice throw, asshole. You're the first one to go to jail." And I got handcuffed with my rollerblades on. But I don't know why. I think I had an experience going to, what is now? What do they call it? The elevated bike trail.
Okay.
What, you know what I'm talking about?
I know of elevated bike trails, but I'm not from Chicago, so I'm not sure.
Do
you guys know about the elevated bike trail?
All right, anyway, well, there were these old abandoned tracks, and my homie took me up on these old abandoned tracks, and it was like finding a pocket of wilderness in the city. It was overgrown with bushes, and then there were all this graffiti. It was like this secret place. You could be up there at 3 PM, and no one knew you were up there. And we did some painting there, and I guess that got my addiction going again, and yeah, I went hard with it for like 3.5 years. I got arrested a number of times. I started a crew. At that point, there was a ton of investment in cleaning up graffiti. So all the walls along the train lines that had been covered by high quality graffiti art were all erased.
Yeah.
And so that was like, terrible, but also a free advertising for the ambitious. Anyway, I don't know if I stand behind it now ethically or whatever, but it was a lot of fun and a lot of trouble, and I'm glad I came out of it unscathed.
Yeah. Do you still draw now? Do you still write and draw, and do you still work on that, or no?
No, not regularly. I do draw sometimes, and I made a claymation short film for my wife a few years ago. So there's still a little visual stuff in there. Now I garden, actually, and I have a side business doing gardens. I love, and sometimes that really feels like graffiti in the sense that taking something that's bland and brown and without color and then just like injecting it with life and color.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see the similarity, yeah.
The transition from being a graffiti writer to artist, what did you find it to be like jarring, or did it feel natural?
Well, I was acting at the same time in high school, and I just feel really lucky that I happened to be I really feel like I was in the right place at the right time. I had a good drama teacher my first couple years of high school, did my first play, really enjoyed it. She sent me to an audition that got me an agent. And so that was already starting to percolate. And so, essentially, like, aside from getting arrested, staying out late at night doing graffiti and smoking too much weed, I mean, I was like a bad student. I was like not on a good track in high school. So thankfully I had that talent and those connections so that I ended up getting into, a good play at the Steppenwolf Theater and all this stuff when I was just ending high school. And that, like, saved me in a way, or set me on a path, which I needed a path.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful to Chicago and to just being in the right place, yeah.
What role did like your parents play along the ride? How much like were they supportive? Not only of the graffiti stuff, I'm sure they weren't like happy to see you arrested all the time, but like with the acting.
Yeah, they were supportive of the acting. They didn't want to, they were like, get an agent, and the agent was like, do you want to move to LA or you go to? And they were like, no, we're not moving the family to LA. I had 2 younger brothers. They're doctors. Life is there. So, and I didn't want to do that either. So I would say they were supportive. They also were not stage parents. They weren't like super like pushing me to do it or excited for me to do it or invested in it, which was maybe good because it just was my thing, And then when I got more serious about it, they were definitely supportive.
What pushed you toward like even joining drama in high school? Was there like a certain project or artist?
Didn't want to go to the crappy public school in my neighborhood.
Okay, so in order to be part of the drama, you got to go to a different school?
Yeah, it was like a magnet school. You had to audition to get in, and so and I did. So it was like the kids I knew went there, who were a little bit older than me, who were cool. And Lincoln Park High School, it's on a park. It was a public school, but it had an arts program. It was an interesting school because it was very mixed, I don't think I've been in a more diverse place since. I mean, in terms of class, in terms of race, in terms of different academic levels, it was very segregated, but it was a melting pot too in a way, and that was cool, especially the drama.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you got to like invest your time in while you were there besides acting and drama? Like, did they have any other programs that you got to like?
That's pretty much it for me. And then because I was, they had other programs, but I had my own program.
So what's the typical day like in that type of school? Are you just like always on stage all day long?
No. It wasn't like that kind of school. It wasn't like it's one class a day.
Okay.
And then a club after school. Yeah. So it's only it's just a regular high school except that you have a drama class as an elective. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't like, but, then I was able to, when I did have this movie, for instance, I was able to leave and go do that, and it was okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you already been doing, films since you were in high school and things like that. Did that kind of give you, not like an ego or anything like that, but like you're coming back to school and it's like, I was just on a movie set?
Nah, not at all, man, because it was the weirdest thing. I was like, I had 2 lines in this movie, but they wanted me in the back as part of the football clique. It was written by John Hughes' son.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so, that, and I don't know, maybe because his dad was so famous for writing high school stuff, he wanted to do something different with the high school genre, or maybe he had a very strange high school experience because his dad was so famous, because it was a weird script.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, the point is my experience there was just like, I was just sitting around forever. A lot of times, and I had no idea. It didn't even feel like it didn't feel like particularly exciting or cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, what is this BS? Like, why am I just hanging out here? Why are they paying me? What is this? Like, I just didn't even get it.
Yeah.
So, no, I was just like, it was in the suburbs, so it was a long drive. It was weird. It was a weird first, my first real acting experience that made me inspired was in theater.
Nice.
At Steppenwolf, and it was sitting around a table with those actors, watching them bring a script to life.
Yeah.
And it had themes of racism in it, and anti-racism that I was into, and watching them do that, I was like, oh, shit, this is cool.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between acting on screen and then acting on stage. Obviously, on stage being like you're in the moment and you have to deliver, whereas on the screen, you have time where you can cut, you can make edits and things like that. What do you prefer more, and what do you feel like speaks to you more as an artist?
It really all comes down to the script, If you're doing a bad play, that's no fun. But
That's true.
The thing that also comes to mind is, when you're doing a play, you're just, even from the beginning, you're hearing the full story, every time. And with a film, you know, you could not see what the other actors are doing in certain scenes, and you have no idea what it is until it's edited together. I love film for how naturalistic it can be. I mean, that's the kind of acting I really like, and getting to travel. And yeah, I haven't actually been active in theater for a while now. I've been maybe the last 10 years, mostly on TV and film. So, but I would love to do it again. I do love it.
Is there a particular role or a production that you'd like to be a part of? Maybe like a famous Broadway play or something?
Yeah, there's great playwrights like Annie Baker or people like that who I would love to work for, you know, in theater. Yeah, but, you know, honestly, it's just all that matters is a good script, you know, and an environment where people are nice, and that's all you need. If you have that, you know, it's the best. I mean, as long as you have it in a good part and have something to do, because I've been able to be in cool things but have a really small part, and that's all right. But I'd rather be in something mediocre with a big part. It's more fun.
Of course, it's awesome. You get more notoriety and
well, just more to do.
It's more fun. You have more to do. Yeah, you're not just standing around just eating crafty all day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about Cloverfield, obviously, which is a big hit for you and a big part of your story. And we're talking about script. I was curious to know how much of that film was actually scripted and how much of it was just like, hey, this is the scenario and go. Like,
it was scripted, but like when we auditioned for it, there was no script. When we shot the trailer as like a short film before there was a movie, before script. So we like literally did a film shoot for the trailer so that we could put it in front of Transformers.
Oh wow!
That summer of 2007, and then the script came in, and yeah, it was. We did a little bit of improvising around the edges for sure, but it was scripted out. Yeah.
Okay. And were you guys physically the ones who were in charge of holding the actual cameras, or was it like you're miming that you're holding it, but there's a cameraman back there?
I mean, poor T.J. Miller, who just had to run behind the cameraman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going, oh, this is fucking crazy. You know. But at the beginning, there was some stuff where the actors were holding real cameras. Yeah, when they're getting ready for the going away party and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became cinematographers cameramen who had a really hard time. I mean, it was a tough thing to do because you're carrying a heavy camera. You're trying to act like it's a handy cam.
Mm-hmm.
There was this, I feel like he was Robert Altman's son.
Okay.
Who was a camera operator who shot with us for a week. Actually, he did the tunnel stuff, I think. And after a week, he quit. He was done. And he said, yeah, I mean, he had a British accent. Maybe, I don't know why Robert Altman's son would have a British accent. But anyway, he said he was like, it's like you've taken a beautiful automobile and ripped the wheels off and drive on the hubcaps. That's how he described the cinematography. So
he hated it.
It wasn't his taste. It wasn't his thing.
Oh man, I mean, it looks like it's fun to be a part of a project like that because of the freedom in a sense. It's not so black and white. It's more a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
How much fun was that to be able to just like give your own input and?
That was cool. I mean, every shot, the problem was you had to get certain information into the screen, into the frame, without it looking like on purpose. It had to kind of look like accidental. It had to look like someone who's in a life or death situation, just throwing their camera around, filming, and at the same time you have to like get cool shots and it has to be clear what's happening.
So for that reason, were there a lot of like retakes?
Yeah, and also every take, we would usually watch it back right then to see what we got.
Right.
And so that was kind of cool because I was watching with the director next to him and seeing as we went, and that was kind of interesting to see. And I'd be like, sometimes you'd be a take where you're like, oh, I fucked that take up right there, damn it. Or you would get an idea of like, oh, okay, I think I need to be a little bit more, I need to do this. And that was cool to be able to adjust yourself and see how it goes.
When after you see the final cut of the film and everything, were you not satisfied, but like, were there anything that maybe behind the scenes moments or things that maybe got left on the cutting room floor that you would have liked to see included in the film?
Not necessarily. No, there weren't things that I wish had made it in. It was just
because sometimes you might feel like a take is better than what they choose to include.
Right, for sure. No, it wasn't any of that because I mean I didn't even I couldn't say that, but it was more just like. you know, and the first time we saw it was for like a preview secret screening for fans who had like done something online or something, you know, in New Jersey, and everyone was so excited, and the movie is just really intense. It feels like this roller coaster ride, and I was just happy that it seemed to have that it had that momentum, and it seemed to like move forward fast, and yeah, I don't know, it's overwhelming and weird, you know, but it's not as like. That has kind of happened on other films I've worked with, or when you're shooting something and something's not working, and you're like, uh-oh, and then it gets cut, and you're like, that could have been a good scene, but I could tell we weren't getting it.
Yeah.
That does happen sometimes.
Yeah, of course. You know, it definitely not only stands the test of time, but it's definitely one of the films that added to the hype and the love of these found footage type genres. It was definitely like one of the first, including like Blair Witch Project and all these things, but it definitely had its own spin, and of course the twist, which really was amazing. Did you know a lot about like what the twist was going to be?
You mean at the very end? Or?
Yeah.
No. That was
so
all,
they don't.
No,
okay.
he was very secretive. I mean, that's J.J. Abrams' whole thing. He loves being secretive, so he didn't share anything he didn't need to with us. That's for sure. And he loves that, and he.
So you saw it in real time in the same way that the audience did?
The drop-in?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And what was your reaction?
I
when
was
you
like,
saw
oh,
it?
that was fucking cool. You know, I was just like, that's cool. That was smart. You know,
Yeah.
that's I like, you know, it's just neat. It's like that was a cool, you know, I think that, okay, cutting to flashbacks, right, is like a film thing we've been doing forever, but the idea of it being like taped over and like there's these things that you're erasing, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
It was a way to find like, okay, you're doing something new and something classic at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely a cool inclusion, and it's fun to know that you had no idea about it.
I had no
Because even
idea.
like they saved something special for you as well, not just the audience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and there was all these. There was Slusho. Do you remember? If there was like this whole thing with Slusho, which was this fake brand that they put inside the movie, but then they created a website for it. It was like an Easter egg for people who were to find, and maybe on MySpace they were putting stuff about it. So they were really brilliant at marketing that movie, you know?
Yeah.
And using, it just shows you how much, that's why I have a friend who's who scores, you know, he's a composer, scores for film, and he will walk out of the theater before the trailers because he doesn't want to know too much going in, you know?
Wow, I love the trailers. That's like my favorite part.
I do too, but if I start watching a trailer at home and I know I like it and I'm going to watch it, I'll cut the trailer off halfway through because I do feel like it gives away a lot. And you know, the trailer for Cloverfield was obviously very different, you know? It didn't even say the title.
Yeah.
It was just that one shot, that one scene sequence then ended with the Statue of Liberty's head and then the date. You know, and that, like, if you can get people curious, if you can get people talking, if you can get people going, what the fuck, that has a lot of power.
Oh, for sure. And you know, the style and the artistic style of the film itself draws you in. And of course, you know, you see the Statue of Liberty's head get thrown on the floor. It's like, what did that? I want to find out more about that. And you know, we've gotten to see more of the Cloverfield story in subsequent films. And I even hear there's inklings talking about maybe doing a direct sequel to the original. Have you heard anything about that?
I've just heard the same rumors you have.
Okay.
You know, I haven't. I got to reach out to JJ, see what he'll tell me. But
well, yeah.
I'm sure he would be nothing. But
And
yeah.
any chance we'd get some more flashbacks, including you, maybe?
Well, I don't know how they do. They'd have to pay for some CGI. It'd have to be like that Tom Hanks movie where they make him look young, you know. But
Oh yeah, Here. That movie Here. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I think they could do it.
Yeah, they could do it.
So you have a mockumentary.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
You did your research.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. What made you want to do it's Michael Stahl-David Behind the Star? What made you want to create that? What inspired that?
So, okay, it's 2007, and people are saying, like, your life's going to change when this movie comes out. And my buddy was like, what if you just, like, became a total dick?
Just go Hollywood on everybody.
I was like, yeah, what if I hired a bodyguard, like, immediately? And we just started laughing, and he had the idea of, like, a character who, hires a documentary crew, but then pretends he didn't hire them. Wow. He's like, I don't know why they want to film me. I'm just a regular guy. You know, I could make my bed before I became a movie star. I can make my bed after. You know, but he's also calling himself a movie star. So that was like the premise, and we like started shooting stuff at my house and with an actor who played my agent, and an actor who played my fan, who was like my one fan who didn't understand boundaries, and we took like 15 minutes of stuff that was all improvised that we edited together, and we sold it. It was like in this moment where there was money for my web series. So we sold it to Sony. They gave us money to make a bunch more, and we had a fucking blast making them. Yeah. And my buddy who I made it with, Jeremy Byler, went on to write for SNL and for Inside Amy Schumer, and he's got stuff. So he became a very professional comedy writer, and he's in it as well, and he's very funny. And honestly, it was like the easiest thing I've ever written. I've written stuff after that, but that just like came out easily. And I think it holds up. It's, Crackle didn't do a season 2 of it. Unfortunately, we were about to do one, and we had Olivia Wilde and all these other people in it. But
oh, wow.
Ty Burrell was going to be in it.
That would have been cool.
It would have been cool. But you can see it on my Vimeo if you look it up. And it kind of holds up. It looks like kind of shitty because it's, we shot it cheap. But it's the comedy holds up.
That's really cool. So do you have a background in comedy? I know you do theater and drama. I do stand up, and I've been on Wild 'N Out and things like that. So like comedy's like in my bag. But like,
nice.
Where's your comedy background?
Yeah,
come from?
I mean, I grew up in Chicago. Growing up in Chicago, I did improv. I did like improv classes and stuff outside of school, and I went to a lot of improv comedy, like long form, and then the British Office was super inspiring to me.
Nice.
That kind of humor, super grounded and dark, and there was something really fun about playing a character. I think, to be honest, the movie came out in 2008, and it was a hit. But my friend who is exec at Focus Features was like, Cloverfield is the star of Cloverfield. And I understood what he meant, because you could barely, you're not getting hero shots of me in that movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like, I got some good, it helped my career, but it wasn't like a star-making part. And because of just the way it was filmed and everything. And then the economy crashed. That was the recession. Boom, came right after. So there was a lot of room for disappointment in what happened after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think making that mockumentary about a version of myself who was sabotaging his own opportunities through his ego was really cathartic.
Yeah.
And fun. And getting to... and also extremely creatively fulfilling. So that was part of how I worked through that,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the question was, but comedy. And so
comedy.
but I loved, I it's the best, man. It's the best. I mean, if you're on set with your friends and you're laughing together and you know something that you're doing is working and it's actually making people in the crew laugh, it's the best feeling. And then when you're cutting in the edit and it makes you laugh in the edit, it's the best feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that was very fucking satisfying. And when other people that you bring into something you write do something that makes you laugh or they do their own thing with it, it's so great. And so for a while I was really focused on trying to, I got to do an episode of New Girl and the Bee in Apartment 23, and I tried stand-up a few times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you got to have thick skin, which I don't have.
Yeah, it takes a lot. You have to be ready, willing to bomb.
I did, and I couldn't. It was hard to recover,
Yeah.
I had a couple good ones, and I had a bomb, and it was just... And also those open mics with all comics, it's just rough.
It is.
I didn't have the tenacity. But
and those are the worst critics. But if you can make them laugh, then you're like, okay, I got something.
Exactly, yeah. No, but I went more then to the storytelling road. You know, which is nice, because those audiences are more forgiving, and, it's more a warmer audience, but... You don't have to be funny, but you can be. Right. They're just they're there to listen. They know what they're getting themselves into, and if it's funny, it's funny. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean. Do you have any comedians that you either like to watch or like their specials that you'll go see live? Right now, I just found this kid recently, Ralph Barbosa. Oh yeah, he's amazing. Dude, he's funny, so funny. Bro. He's really funny. He reminds me of kids I grew up with. And I don't know if you saw his new shit about how he's going blind. Is he really? Yeah. Is that real or is it a joke? It's real. Get out of here. He's got diabetes and they're saying he's going blind. And he did amazing material about it. Oh, man. So here's this kid who's very funny, but he's just kind of like a stoner, and he has very dry delivery. Mm-hmm. He's almost like Mitch Hedberg a little bit. Yeah, I love Mitch Hedberg. But he's like this, I don't know, I just like his vibe a lot. Yeah. And very laid back. And now real life shit's happening to him, and he was fucking turning it into good.
Well, that's the
comedy.
beauty of comedy, is
And that's
taking
what I
that
was like,
tragedy and finding the
exactly.
funny in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I like Ralph Barbosa right now.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, that's a fabulous choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I definitely relate to you in the fact of, like, you know, writing something. We had a farce web series about a boy band. And we
Nice.
we made it onto America's Got Talent as this fake boy band. We
What?
had fake names, fake ages, and we like lied through our teeth to Simon to his face.
What?
Yeah, and it was like me and my 4 buddies. We're all in our mid-30s and 40s.
Being a boy band, like
18, 19, 20. Yeah, and we're like singing, dancing, and doing all this stuff and on America's Got Talent. It was wild. But in the same realm, like, we wrote a web series and we shot all these fake episodes of being in the studio and fighting and all this other ridiculous
Okay,
stuff.
so then you'll relate to this. One of the first things we shot for that web series was I was at Sundance. I was at Slam Dance. I had a movie at Slam Dance, but my buddy was who my comedy friend writer was at the time had a gig working for the New York Times doing video. So he had a press pass. So I went to this premiere. He had a press pass. And so we put a mic on me. I was like, I'm going to go on the red carpet and do some shit. So I go on the red carpet, take some pictures for a second, like, 1, 2, 3, and then it stops. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sexy. You guys love me, yeah. And then they're like, okay. And I'm like, you guys want a couple more? And then they like take a couple more. And then the assistant's like, Michael, it's time to go, honestly. And so just that little clip,
Yeah.
where, a little subtle thing we could cut to. But of course, no one there knew I was doing a character.
Of course, yeah.
So it was a thrill.
It was the funnest.
And that
that was
lady
the most
thinks
fun.
I'm a fucking asshole, and it's just like, all right, that's fine.
But that was the most fun for us, is like, as soon as we left the hotel room, we're like, we have to be in character to everyone, to the PAs, to the backstage
That's
people,
wild.
to everyone. And we were in character names, in our personalities.
Wow.
And we couldn't break character.
I gotta see this. What's it called?
Five Alive.
Five Live?
5 Alive.
5 Alive. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
5
cool.
Alive.
Did you watch Jury Duty?
No, what's that?
Dude, have you seen Jury Duty? Did you like it? Dude, Jury Duty's amazing. You have to see it. It's just look it up. But basically,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's
one guy doesn't realize it's an act.
right, and it's all an act.
Yeah,
And
but at the same time, they're not a dick to that guy.
Right.
Which is cool. Yeah, it's really.
It's like the
good.
Joe Schmo show. Remember
Okay.
that show?
No.
They had this one guy, and everyone was actors,
Okay.
and they were living in a house in a fake reality show called The Lap of Luxury.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was an actor except for this one guy.
Oh, wow.
And they tried to turn him into like a mean guy, but they found out that he's such a nice guy that it turned out the whole series was, let's champion this guy to the finish line.
Okay, well that's interesting. That's
but it
kinda-
was on Spike TV back in the day,
Huh.
and it was like one of the first times that they ever did something like that.
Interesting. I wonder if the writers were looking at that. Yeah.
But you can still find it on like YouTube. It's hilarious.
Okay.
The Joe Schmo show.
Joe Schmo show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do we have any questions? Do you
Yeah.
want to ask a question?
What's favorite character
that I played. I just did this little indie movie that I was at the premiere on Wednesday. It's called Down to the Felt. So I play a gambling addict who loses everything and then makes a deal with a hitman to kill him. I'm like, kill me in 2 weeks so my mom can collect the insurance money.
Shit.
And then,
Wow.
and then life starts stealing him aces, basically. So that was a super fun part because I just got to do all these different things. It had a little bit of comedy in it, but it
That's really cool.
had serious stakes and drama in it. It had all this gambling stuff. So that was super fun.
Just that one tidbit alone makes me want to see it. I want to find out what happens to him.
Yeah, it's cool. Hopefully we'll get a distribution deal soon. So it's gonna be in New York May 13th, but.
It's going to be in New York?
Yeah, it's at the Big Apple Film Festival.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, so
May 13th. What day of the week
It's
is
a
that? Because I'll be
Tuesday.
in New York next week.
it's a Tuesday.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one night screening, but yeah, that was one of the favorites. And then I did this movie with Zoe Kazan called In Your Eyes, which is a Josh Whedon script, and it was these two people, one in New Mexico and one in New England, who are both struggling and unhappy in their lives, who start all of a sudden being able to see through the other person's eyes and hear the other person like in their head.
Oh, wow.
And they think they're going crazy. Then they realize they have this connection, and it becomes like a love story. And that was also a really good part. And Zoe Kazan's a badass actress, and so that was cool.
That's cool. All right. Any more? You can ask another question. We got some time. You're good?
The convo, good. I'm glad you are.
Yeah, thank you. This is I'm enjoying this
I
conversation.
know. I'm
This
just like
is-
I don't give a shit. No one's here. I'm just having fun talking to you.
No, this is great, honestly. I
But
mean,
you're here. You just arrived. Hello. How are you?
hi. Do you want to ask a question?
Okay.
No? Well, how are you doing this weekend? Good? Awesome. All right, back to us. Let's talk about some more projects. So you have that one film coming out. What else do you have coming out that we can look forward to, or anything that on the horizon that you're allowed to talk about?
There's another indie where I play like a young Michael Douglas. It's like Michael Douglas is the grandfather telling his grandson the story of his life, and then that's me. And it's like a fly fishing father-son movie, and we shot in Belize, and that was cool.
You got to go to Belize to do
Yeah, I got to work in Belize.
That's really cool.
That was nuts. It was 12 days of shooting on boats and getting to work with David Morse. If you saw him, you'd know who he is. If you don't know the name, but he was on The Wire, and he's been in a bunch of movies. He was in The Rock. He was a great fucking guy to work with, and it was a tough shoot. I mean, we're shooting on, we're in Belize. It's an indie. Like I said, on boats for all these days, and I'm like, I wonder how this guy's gonna be, because he's at that age and he's been through enough where he could be kind of a dick about it.
Right.
He was the coolest, man, and just never complained, hung tough in the sun, and getting to do kind of father-son dramatic scenes with him was really, really awesome.
That's really cool. I wanted to ask you also, you just mentioned, working with an older actor, getting to do these father-son scenes. Or were you the father? You were the son, and he's the father.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you like working with older actors? Do you feel like you learn a lot from them? And if you have any stories, any lessons that you've learned from any actors that you've worked with?
Wow. Working with Woody Harrelson was really interesting.
Tell us about that. I would love to hear this story.
Yeah. He played LBJ, and I was playing Bobby Kennedy.
Wow.
And Rob Reiner was directing. This is one of the fanciest movies I've been in.
Yeah, this is crazy.
That
okay.
was cool. It came out right around the Bryan Cranston one where he played LBJ, so it kind of got, I don't know how many people saw it, but he was, it was just watching him rework this monologue, and he kind of changed the order of it to make it work for him. So there was and it did work better that way. And it was kind of like seeing his confidence in that, that he was just going to do like kind of what worked for him. And what did I learn? I mean, I think that and his playfulness, he's a playful guy and he's a competitive guy, and that he has that drive from that,
Yeah.
But it's a nice nice combination because he's not too serious, but he is, very driven.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you've definitely, had your, you have a great run in your career, and obviously it's not over. It's still going. You got a lot of stuff coming up. And if you were to talk to yourself at 13, do you think, what would you have to say? Would he be happy with where you are right now?
Oh God, man! All right, let's get into it.
We're getting deep.
It's tough, man. I don't know what the future of this business is looking like. Right now, ever since the pandemic, everything is you send in a self-tape.
I hate that.
Where we just tape ourselves.
There's no
in our
connection
house.
with the casting director at all.
And I feel like for me, and you just have to make it work. For me, though, what a strength that I would have is I go in, I have nerves. First of all, those nerves, after a while, they help you, actually. That adrenaline, that energy, if you can channel it and focus it, it can really work for your advantage in an audition. And then the casting director says something or the director says something to give you an idea. And then you do something different. And now you're discovering something for the first time. And that's a collaboration.
Yeah.
So that can still happen on a Zoom, but it's less likely to happen.
It's so lost in the self-tape. I 100% do not like doing
And also, anyway, we could complain about self-tapes all day. But
True.
But the question is, I don't know, man. I don't know if in 10 years I want to be having to send in self-tapes. I mean, part of me is thinking about finding another thing to do, but I also love this. So it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird moment. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And these indie movies, it's like, you have to be in something, a really special one for it to break through in a way that moves things forward in a significant way.
Right.
So I don't anticipate that to happen, but at least something where I can show some good work, But so yeah, man. And that's where I'm at, to be honest. We're moving to Colombia. My wife's I did Narcos. That was the other thing I could talk about a little bit. I was on third season of Narcos, and we shot down there for 8 months. And halfway through the production, I was taking salsa lessons because I don't know, thought it'd be cool to learn how to dance salsa.
That's awesome.
I grew up around a lot of Latinos, so I spoke Spanish because I went to a bilingual elementary school. And so I met this beautiful woman on the dance floor, and now we're married. And
That's amazing.
She is fluent in English, and she had a lot of friends in New York, so she came to New York, and so we have all these Colombian friends in New York, and now we're moving with our 2-year-old. We spent the last 4 months in
No,
Colombia,
congrats.
and
That's
I think
amazing.
we're gonna do that. And that actually makes it feel a little bit maybe more feasible to be an artist, because New York City, you know, she's a meditation teacher, and I'm a fucking actor. You know, it's
Yeah.
like Jesus Christ, it's not easy. So anyway.
But that's amazing. Have you already started looking for a house and everything and
Well,
found a place?
we were living for 4 months in this town. We found a place that we like. 3 months in this little town called Barichara. So it's like a little town, you know, on the edge of a cliff. It's the town that Encanto is based on.
Oh, get out of here. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
It's considered the most beautiful town in Colombia. It's beautiful. And so, you know, but the funny thing is I'm completely isolated from the business, from city life, anything. But at the same time, I was making tapes. I was getting callbacks. Actually, it was going better for me there. And, you know, everything is so much more affordable that having the kid and everything becomes, you know, otherwise life can just become chores and work and, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm a father as well, and you know, it's definitely tough, even just to come away for this weekend
Yeah.
and not to be there to help my wife take care of my son and
Of
things like
course.
it's you know, it's difficult, but this is what we need to do. This is what makes us thrive and help us provide for our family.
that's right.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to have the balance too. You
For
know?
sure.
After if I've been a while without a job, and then I'm like, oh, I have a week of work in New Mexico. Hell yeah, you know, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
on set, but I'm also gonna like just having that time to yourself can be really nice too.
Well, you know, I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for being here with us this weekend.
Of course, man.
For sharing your time and your insight and your point of view, your perspective, a little peek into a part that makes you who you are. I want to wish you the very best and everything you got going on with your wife and
Thanks,
your
man.
life and your moving to Colombia.
All right, and
your
I'll
career.
check out 5 Alive.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Give it a round of applause, everybody.
Thank
Michael
you.
Stahl-David.
All
Go
right.
visit him down at his table. If you have any questions or you just want to say hi, go see him.
Come say hi.
All
See
right.
y'all.
Thank you, guys.